Happy Spiritual Sunday. Welcome again to another opportunity to raise our consciousness, change our week, change our destiny, and not only make our lives better, but make the world better. You know, one of the things that is becoming more and more, it's actually more obvious even in the physical world, but you have to be able to listen with Kabbalistic ears. For, quite a number of years, okay, I've heard things like the collective unconscious. What do they say about dreams? Dreams, right? Because it's hard to explain what dreams come, where they come from, or what they're for, unless you're learning from the Zohar. Explains all the details. But what does collective unconscious mean? If you think about it, it means that every human being on earth, in some way, shape, or form, in a consciousness level or a brain level, if you want to say, is interconnected with everybody. And then a few years ago, when we had that, what was going on, and they said, we're all in it together. What are they saying? Well, everybody is interconnected. Now you make a leap to quantum physics, and quantum physics says the same thing. Everything that everybody does has affected everybody and everything around the world. But of course, for only 5,764 years, the Kabbalists have been telling us that there is only one soul in the universe. So you and I here on Spiritual Sunday have come to call it the one soul spiritual internet. And on this internet, there's no such thing as firewalling, blocking yourself, unfriending, jumping off, etc. Everybody is 24/7 connected on the spiritual internet. And so we are either affecting positive influence on the world, if we have really consciousness, true consciousness in the moment, or heaven forbid, but every human being on earth who's not sending out the influence of the light of the Creator from their soul is therefore being affected by 8.5 billion people, every little major, minor negative thought, anger, fear, jealousy, being perturbed, being upset, being a little greedy, being a little fearful, guilty, jealous, etc. It's one or the other. There is no middle ground in that way. We're either revealing the light of our soul or, heaven forbid, covering it up. And people say, well, what if I don't do anything? Like, what if I just kind of stay the same? Well, if you think in those terms, I guess the first thing that comes to mind is if you leave, and I'm using it this way, please just keep it in the context of this example, but if you leave a piece of meat, right, you just cooked it, you're not eating it, but you just cooked it, and you leave it out on your counter, right? So it's neutral. You leave it there for a day, you leave it there for 2 days, you leave it there for a week. Is it staying the same after 3 weeks on your counter? Is it the same as the day you put it on the counter? Would you love to eat it after 3 weeks? Why not? Because the third law of thermodynamics, entropy, everything is falling apart. So if we're not actively doing something to counteract entropy, physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, but most important, spiritually, then everything is decaying. So when people say, okay, I don't hate anybody, or I'm not going to think negative or be more negative or whatever, but they're not making that extra effort like we learn here to really add light, take more of their potential and bring it into the world, then they are slowly, slowly falling apart. More entropy, more chaos, more negativity, more challenges. And if you stop and look back on your life, you can see it clearly. For me, after all these years in the center, it took me years, so okay, and that's why I'm doing this, to help you not have to wait 35, 40 years to have this experience. But the more you look back honestly and objectively, you see how this system works. Because once you learn here, like we're going to talk about, okay, let's do our affirmation and then we'll go on to it. Okay, so for those of you online, here it is. For those of you here on the screen, we simply want to keep adding, like we said, more positive influence, more true consciousness, which enables us to change our destiny, to take control. But as we're going to affirm here, we have to include everybody. Because if it is really one spiritual internet, there's no human being on earth that you can leave out of your prayers, meditations, I don't know, good thoughts, however you want to call it. You cannot leave them out without having that same impact on ourselves. So let's say it together. Consciousness is everything. I raise my consciousness today to see the miracles and wonders of life. I commit myself to behave with greater love, compassion, and kindness towards all human beings. All human beings, as we said, because we're all on that one internet. So Kabbalah, just to start us off, because I promised a few people that I was going to speak about righteous sins, or righteously sinning. Could look at it either way. So let's just sort of remind ourselves, or for those of you that are new. So Kabbalah is not a religion, it's not a philosophy, it's not a theology, I don't know what else you want to call it. It is simply spiritual technology of the soul. That doesn't mean it's easy, but in simple terms, that's it. And remember, what comes first? The invisible consciousness, or even unconsciousness, or the physical action? Which is the cause of which? Is the physical causing consciousness, or is consciousness causing physicality? Consciousness, what you think manifests. Even without Kabbalah, a person is thinking in an angry way, then they're more than likely going to behave in an angry way. If they can change their thinking from anger to compassion, kindness, or love, as we just affirmed, then it's more likely that their actions are going to come out some level of kindness, compassion, and love. So as we say, consciousness is everything. So the Kabbalists have been giving us the technology of the soul. And as I often point out, and I'm welcome challenge. So those of you online, write me and tell me what you think. But the only thing that's in common to every human being on earth, the only thing, is the soul. Now, you can believe in whatever religion you want or whatever, but the soul still comes from one creator. It has one operating system. But like anything else that has a physical operating system, you can use it how you want. There's an operating system to your vacuum cleaner. But if you misuse that operating system, it's not going to work very well, may not work at all, and it could break down. And you go right down the line. Telephones, I don't know, computers, whatever it is, there is a system that is just the system. It's our thought or lack of thought that determines what it will bring us. So Kabbalah that's why for the center, the Kabbalists have always taught that this belongs to every human being. Unfortunately, over the years, this parasitic, opposition, adversarial challenger that we implanted in our heads when we came into this world has made us believe that Kabbalah is Jewish mysticism. So therefore, you leave out all the other religion people. You leave out all the people who don't want to be Jewish anymore, so to speak, right? And so who's left? And that's why, unfortunately, if you look at the world, why is there such chaos going on? And there's no group or facet of humanity that you can say they're the cause of it or that they're not affected by it. There's greater chaos in the world, more intensity of chaos than ever in history. And don't tell me it's because now we can see all over the world because of the internet and TV and stuff like that. Human beings are still human beings. The only thing in common is the soul. And as we learn here, the soul has an operating system, but we, as we'll speak about today, we decide how we're going to use it. And however we use it, regardless of what anybody else does to us, around us, for us, or what have you, what we do comes back to us, cause and effect. What goes around comes around. The fundamental rules of the universe. Even science has come to agree, right? Action, reaction. So then, what Kabbalah is offering us, the center is giving us the ways and means by understanding all the details. And yes, sometimes the details can seem a little overwhelming, especially if you're newer, but like anything else. Of course, that's why I have children, right? Cell phone, to me, like I've often said, is more mysterious than anything I've ever learned in almost 40 years of the center. And if I don't know how to operate it, some facet or something doesn't work, I just call up one of my children who does IT, And I say, how does it work? Because he knows the system, he can direct me how to operate with the system and get what I'm looking for, because it's already there. It's not like when I call him up, he says, okay, let me program your phone to do this and this and this. It's already in there. So too with us. We've already been programmed by the light of the Creator to have everything. Everything, everything, everything. There's nothing we're missing in potential. The only thing that we're missing when you look out at your life is the actualization of the light of our soul, which is the only reason we came here, right? So in the endless world, the Creator created us as one, what we call one vessel, whose inherent and eternal behavior, thought, consciousness is, I want. I want to receive lasting fulfillment, and I know I can only get it from the light of the Creator. Because before the Big Bang, that's all there was. Infinite light and one vessel that had been receiving from the light of the Creator. But if you're not making it manifest, how much blessing do you feel? How much fulfillment do you feel? So we created this world to be the means, to be the arena that we could come down here and we could express our light. We could manifest our light. You walk around with the most powerful flashlight on earth, but you don't turn it on. Does it have the potential to take away all the darkness around you? Yes. Is it taking away the darkness? No. You've got to turn it out and shine it out where you want direction, guidance, and clarity. So too, how much more then, the light of our soul? If we're not letting it shine out, then we're not benefiting from it. And the unfortunate paradox is, it thereby creates greater frustration, anger, chaos, anxiety. Just want that to sink in. If a person is not on a constant basis expressing their light of their soul, then they are constantly, even slowly, more challenges in life, more obstacles, more stress, more frustration, more anger, and all the other types of reactive negative behavior. Because they're feeling 100% inside, but they're seeing outside with their eyes some amount less than the 100%. And that difference is the amount that a person will be stressed, challenged, chaotic, etc. It's a simple idea. And for me, after so many years, the simpler it is, the easier it is to operate with. In the operation of it, it's not so easy, because as we'll learn today, we have to transform ourselves. So let's start with that. So we came here to just imitate the Creator so we could have lasting fulfillment, but remember that our inherent nature is, I want lasting fulfillment from the light of the Creator. But when we came into this world, even metaphorically, although Kabbalists do believe that the people, places, and things of the 5 books of Moses did happen, but our job is to see through just the literalness to the technology they were teaching us. So in simple terms, how many of you right now have a decision to make in life? Any way, any shape, form. Any decisions? Why do you have to make a decision? What does that really mean if you think about it? It means you have 2 choices. If there was nothing to make a decision about, if there's only one thing, there's no decision. Although you could say, I hear some of you already going, well, do or not to do, or say or not to say. But you get the idea. You have a decision means there's this way you could go, or this thing you could do, or this way you could go, or this thing you could do. So there's 2 things. So go back to the idea of the biblical story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. 2 trees, the tree of life, the tree of knowledge. What the Kabbalists would say, the pure realm of pure light, clarity, all the blessings you could ever imagine, and the guidance to manifest them with less, or let's say at this point, less pain, suffering. Or there was the choice of the tree of knowledge, good and evil. And what does that mean in our terms? Because when you hear it, I know it's pushing some buttons right now, religiosity or the way you grew up or things like that. Think simple. What does it mean if there's a realm of good and bad versus a realm of just light and blessings? The light and blessings mean all good all the time. Good and bad means the choice of up and down, chaos. It's that simple. There's the world of perfection, or there's the realm of good and bad, chaos, ups and downs, health and sickness, happy and sad. You go on and on like that. So you and I, on a moment-to-moment basis, we have that choice every day. Don't look back and say, well, that was Adam and Eve, maybe it's a fable, who knows, whatever. No, they're teaching us that every moment of every day, especially when we're challenged, we have the choice. Choose the tree of life or choose the tree of knowledge, good and evil. Choose the realm of chaos, choose the realm of total blessing. Sounds easy, no? So simple, Chaim, when you say that. Well, who wouldn't choose the realm of eternal light and life? Anybody here want chaos? Happy with your chaos? No. Okay, so why can't we just choose the tree of life all the time? So we're going to see why, another example, but because our five senses are faulty. Let's just call it that. Can I prove it to you? You have 1 second to hear an example, or should we just go on? Okay, prove it. Watch an illusionist. If you go to a magic show and you see an illusionist, what does the word illusion mean? See something that's not there. Or you see these optical illusions. What does that mean? They're fooling our five senses. They're fooling our eyes. So if we know our eyes can be fooled, how come when it comes to other aspects of our life, we say, no, what I see is real, right? They are doing that thing that makes me angry, makes me upset. No, your eyes are fooling you. What we learn from Kabbalah 1 forward is, yes, like the magician is doing physical actions, yes or yes? Right? Yes, they are. But you know they're also doing something, quote unquote, hidden behind those actions to fool you that an empty hat suddenly produced a rabbit or whatever they pull out of the hat. But you know it's an illusion. You know you're just not seeing. So we learn from Kabbalah 1 forward that there's the eyes of our heart that see true reality, true eyes. And then there's the eyes of our head that see the optical illusion. So the eyes of our heart, what do we see? We see, no, they're coming to give us a message from our soul of what's still holding us back from the tree of life on the next level up. That's it. But our five sense eyes say, no, but they did this terrible thing. And we're not denying, please don't go there. Yes, I will agree, they did what they did. But what it means to us, what it will do for us, is completely in our hands. So once you move from the eyes of your head to the eyes of your heart, then you'll change everything. So going back to the fact we were given everything in the endless world, so let's see. Just think for a moment. If you need to close your eyes, imagine you're just in this endless, infinite world of the light of the Creator. Unconditional love eternally. Eternal bliss. Eternal fulfillment. So what might that feel like? We crave lasting fulfillment for love and unity and peace with people. We have an insatiable hunger for happiness, peace, abundance, joy, all the blessings of the Creator. We want, even for myself, I want my full manifestation. I want to manifest my full potential. I have a desire to be still. Like the saying goes, be still and know that I am God. I don't want to move. I just want to be enveloped in this energy of unconditional love. Nothing is going to stand in my way to have total fulfillment. I see others have achieved more in this moment of happiness, joy, peace, whatever it is, and therefore I'm motivated to manifest more of my potential. If they're getting to their 100%, I want to get to my 100% also. And then I acknowledge, when I look in my mirror, when I look feeling at myself, I acknowledge I'm a pure and perfect being of light, because that's how the Creator created us. So that's what we felt, that's what our thought is as we came into this world. But then, go back to the story of the Garden of Eden. What made that choice so difficult? Even in the simple story. I mean, if you're really looking at, 100% light, blessing, peace, harmony, all the good stuff, and the realm of chaos of ups and downs, why is that a difficult choice? Because according to the story, and I don't like the translation, but it's probably the closest thing for most of us that are familiar with it, there was that voice called the snake, which is a whole nother story. And if you really want, maybe I'll give a spiritual Sunday on that. But like we say, we call it in the center, it's that parasitic voice, the challenger opponent. It's even called, and be careful, don't go to your religious upbringing, it's called Satan. In Aramaic, Satan means just to challenge, an adversary, a challenger. So when you go out and you play tennis and you call your best friend that you love tremendously, say, let's play tennis, and he or she gets on the other side of the net, while they're playing tennis with you, they are your Satan. They are your adversary. They are your challenger. They are your opponent. Yes or yes? But in truth, they're your loved ones. But in that moment of tennis, you're their opponent and they're your opponent. So we came into this world to give us the opportunity of free will, because really, if we didn't have the voice in our head challenging us to be more self-centered, egotistically driven, then how much fulfillment would you feel just walking onto a tennis court with a 3-year-old, hitting 24 balls and winning? Or playing ping pong. You understand the idea? If there's no challenge, you win, but you feel fulfilled. Yes? Not sure. You don't feel very victorious, right? But when there's a tough challenge, when you got to overcome something, look back on your life. What are the most powerful memories you have? Most of them are when you overcame some obstacle. You overcame some challenge. You pushed through something that exerted, in whatever form, your spiritual, mental, emotional muscle that allowed it to grow. Those are the things you remember, you appreciate more. So we had that voice of the snake, whatever, the adversary, to say, oh no, you really want the world of chaos. Because, and like with our 5 senses, why don't we see what's going on with the magician? Because our eyes don't see behind the curtain of whatever they're doing behind the vision of our 5 senses. So then in the same way, we didn't see what happened, because basically what this opponent did in the Garden of Eden said, no, if it's a tree of knowledge, and sadly that's still to this day, I meet people all the time, there's a tree of life and the tree of knowledge. If you don't hold the thought of up and down, good and bad, chaos, then it doesn't sound so bad. Do you all want to be more knowledgeable? Of course we do. We want to know more about our life, about our business, our friends, our family, Kabbalah. So it doesn't sound so bad. But when you take the other part of the name, good and evil, good and bad, suddenly now we're a little more hesitant. So that opponent just said, look, God knows everything. Don't you want to be like God? Isn't that why you came here? To imitate the Creator. Say yes. So okay, eat of the tree of knowledge. Then you'll be like God. Makes sense. But unfortunately, it plunged us into this world of chaos. Okay, so once that happens, if the light inside of us is the source of lasting eternal bliss, it's already been given, and our job is just to manifest it. Then when we listen to that voice, that parasitic challenge in our head, and we do the opposite, what do you expect to have? Eternal bliss? No, at that moment, like Adam and Eve, tasted so great. And then 5 minutes later, they realized they just created death, pain and suffering in their lives. Of course, none of us have ever done that. You never gave in to your bad habit because you were a little nervous or whatever it was. And when you gave your bad habit, great, you feel great for 5 minutes. And then you go, oh my God, why did I do that? Because now there's consequences after that you got to make up for. Yes or yes? Exactly. So this is what we're learning here. So in this world, unfortunately, we've turned the light of perfection and the ability to create, and sadly we've created our lives and the world in chaos, pain, and suffering. We created it. The Creator didn't create it. The Creator only created perfection. This world is our realm. It's our creation, and we're creating every moment of every day. So the same way you can take electricity. Okay, let's use a hammer, because I always use electricity. If you have a hammer, is a hammer good or bad? neutral. It's just a tool, right? But heaven forbid, a person could use it to beat somebody up, or they can use it to build something, right, with a hammer. So you can't blame the hammer. You have to look to the person who's operating the hammer, and then you look to their consciousness, and then you understand why they use the hammer, either to build something or, heaven forbid, to hurt something. So we take the same light of the Creator and we use it the opposite. So here we go. When a person does the opposite, right? The light of the Creator, like these lights here, they shine 24/7. In this case, if we leave it on, the light of the Creator shining 24/7. So it's always within our capability to have benefit from the light of the Creator. Does everyone get that? Because it's shining 24/7. Now, our fear, jealousy, anger, whatever, has blocked it. But if it's shining all the time, every time a person acts with anger, jealousy, greed, insecurity, whatever, what are we really doing? We're taking a piece of our light that's supposed to come to us to give us greater blessings, and we're transferring it. We're basically giving it over to the opponent. Just like ping pong. If you don't win the point, who gets the point? The other person. So you're either manifesting your blessing, or you're transferring your soul's light to the opponent, to that parasitic reservoir. Because it doesn't go away, it stays there in the, if you will, in the account of the opponent. So then what would we like to do? We want to transfer it back. No? Imagine you go to the bank and you're putting in the number where you want the money to be sent, but you put the last number is wrong. So in essence, you transfer your money to somebody else's account that you didn't want it to go, right? So ideally, you call up the bank, you say, no, put it back in my account, right? I just made a little mistake. So then every time a person is transferring their energy through their reactive behavior to the opponent, you know what? In Aramaic, that is called to transfer. Just checking. Anyone here know a little Aramaic? Okay. Le'avir means to transfer. But that's the same word as avera, which translated into English is sin. What is sin? Sin is simply when a person transfers their energy to the opponent. It's like now today you've got all these different services that will transfer money, no? From you to them, from them to you, whatever it is. That's what sin means, to transfer the energy, to give it away or to give it somewhere. So once you take these things we've talked about and you transform it, let's say from craving lasting fulfillment of love and unity with people because I want the light in it. So what happens when you use it in this world, in the tree of knowledge, good and evil? It becomes lust. Lust for people, places, and things. What about an insatiable hunger, right? I just keep wanting. More and more happiness, joy, light being revealed, blessings, becomes what they call gluttony. If you're getting the idea, you'll go right down the list. You have what traditionally has been called the 7 deadly sins. Unfortunately, the opponent made people believe that they can sin against God. Forgive me, but what a stupid idea. Ignorant idea. Because what does that say about God? If God is not perfect, whatever you assume God is, we just call it the light. Light is perfection. You cannot defect infinite light. A person can block the light, but you can't defect it. So the whole connotation of deadly sins or sin against God, etc., no. Every time we, in our terminology, are reactive, that's a sin, because we're transferring our light to the opponent. So what do we want to do? We want to transfer it back. No? Or you just like giving it away? Because don't forget, every time it's given away, what's the consequence of that? If a person has less and less light being manifest, like we said before, they're feeling the 100% inside, they're seeing less and less of the 100% out there. They're feeling more pain, more suffering, more frustration, more anxiety, all the negative emotions. And of course, then especially today, it's more obvious holding negative emotions, weaken the immune system, and then comes all the diseases. So in no way, shape, or form is transferring energy to the opponent beneficial. So the whole point of the Kabbalists and what the center's teaching now for 100 years, how to take that light back. But that's the glitch. That's the effort. Because how difficult is it to give away your light? Not difficult at all. And how do you know? Because think about it. How fast does that opponent make us justify why we scream, yell, fight, bite, act with whatever, greed, jealousy, anger, guilt, and shame? How fast? Well, they did. They said. So, of course, I was justified. They scream at me, I scream at them. They cheat me, I cheat them. They do that thing, I do the same thing back to them. Because I'm going to show them they can't get away with it. They can't do that to me. So they took some of their light, transferred it to the opponent, to Satan, and the other person took the light and transferred it. So who's winning? Satan, the opponent, the adversary. Because if there's one spiritual internet, then there's only one source of light for every human being on earth, but then there's also only one source of the opponent. It's also a spiritual internet. So my opponent, your opponent, that parasite in my head, your head, everybody else, it's also one on the spiritual internet. It's all interconnected. So when we have our reactive thoughts, forget the action even, we have the reactive thought, we're putting more of that out onto the internet. And then you wonder why there's somebody out there who's 50-50. They're sitting on the fence of, should they hit this person or should they kiss this person? And our little tiny thought of annoyance when you're driving down the street and a little perturbed at the driver in front of you, woo, one person out there now pushed off that fence into screaming, yelling at the other person, into hitting or doing something negative to that person. This is why the Kabbalists say, which a lot of people reactively don't want to accept, because it seems like so much responsibility. The Kabbalists tell us that we need to think, for our greater benefit in the true picture, that the entire world is created for me. Now even that, if you hear that verse, that sentence, sounds like the biggest egotistical thought there is, right? The whole world created for me. No, what the Kabbalists are telling us, like we're saying, there can be the proactive side, I want all the light for me, or there can be greed, right? But if I'm greedy spiritually, if I want all my light, all my blessings to be manifest, the only way, and I don't care what you've believed up to now, the only way that can happen is when you're channeling out into the world 100% of the light in your soul, is the only way that you can feel 100% fulfilled. So the beauty of spiritual greed is because the more I want my 100%, the more I have to share with you and everybody on earth. So therefore it's easier, holding that consciousness, to not give in to whatever they said or did, not to give in to all the chaos in the world. Well, look at those terrible people. They're murdering and this and that and other thing. Okay, that's what they're doing. But that doesn't mean I have to act with hatred towards them, anger towards them, resentment towards them, fear of them, anything but light. Do I have to? Where is it written that we have to behave in a negative way or think negative because people are doing negativity? No such thing. Because then we're just adding to the chaos. Darkness adds to darkness. Hatred adds to hatred. You can't say, well, my hatred is right and their hatred is wrong. Because from their point of view, they're saying the same thing. Because remember, your parasite and their parasite, your adversary and your head and theirs are on the same internet. So it's like playing two sides against each other. So theirs is saying, okay, right, be hateful to the other person, right, because they're wrong. Well, the other person has the friend of the other opponent say, well, no, be hateful to them because look, they're doing the wrong thing. So now if you look at it, especially because the world is even physically interconnected by the internet and things like that. So how much easier, so to speak, is it for my opponent, your opponent, everyone's opponent to be connected with each other? So they're making whatever, person A look at person B and say, oh, look at that nasty person. They said this, so I'm going to send negative energy to them because I'm justified. Well, why did they do it in the first place? Let me ask you. Think yesterday, probably even this morning, but think yesterday, one negative thought you had about someone, something that manifests even in a minor way. Even if you spoke to yourself, you're home watching TV and you go, oh my God, that's a horrible person. Anything like that? So nobody heard you, right? It was just your own opinion being expressed by yourself in your house all by yourself alone. But remember the internet. So it was an impact on 8.5 billion people of the opponent, because the opponent thought. Instead of saying, wow, isn't it horrible that there's still darkness in the world, that there's still people who in the cover of spiritual darkness are still doing those kind of negative behaviors, even though the truth about them is, as the Bible said, they're created in the image and likeness of God, which means they have pure light inside them. They're 100% pure light beings. And you know what? If they shine some light out into their life, they would have removed the event or the perception of that person that triggered. And here's where unconsciousness comes in so easily. And we say it all the time, and I've heard it at least this lifetime, as far back as I can remember. They pushed my button. You ever heard that? They pushed my button. So which means, but we don't think about it. They pushed my button. That's why I'm justified to scream, yell, fight, bite, guilt, shame, whatever it may be. But did you ever stop and think? No. What does it mean, my button? Did God give me that button? No. Did the light of the Creator give me that button? No. We created in this world giving into the tree of good and bad. We created it. If I didn't have that button, they could say or do the same thing. I wouldn't say it's a good thing they did, but I certainly wouldn't have been reactive to them, because they couldn't have pushed my anger button, jealous button, greed button, insecure button, fear button, resentful button. I have no button, they can't push it. Does that make any sense to you? So then our job is not about how to get rid of all the people pushing my button. What we're here learning in the center is how to get rid of my buttons. And if I get rid of my button, at the same time, I go from physical greed, give me by taking from everybody, to no, give me all my light by sharing my light and awakening to every person on earth. So that they'll now have an awakening of that inner sense we call intuition, the voice of their soul, to say, you know what? It's not good what they did. They're starting to feel bad. The pain of regret will eventually make everybody change. And since we're on that internet, by our sharing our light with them, we make them wake up to the level of such pain of regret that they'll change. Why do you and I change sometimes? Because we have regret. All of a sudden we're enlightened and say, oh my God, what I did to this person, that person, this time, it was terrible. And we have regret. And the pain of regret makes us do something about it. So we can activate the pain of regret by waking up the soul of every person on earth. So when the light is waking up inside them stronger than the instant gratification of the adversary in their head, then they'll change. How do you decide what to buy? You go to the store, whatever store, any way, shape, or form. How do you decide what to buy or not to buy? Whatever value you decide, right? If you decide the value of that thing in the store is worth more than the money in your pocket, you'll buy it. If you feel the value of the money in your pocket is more valuable than what you think the joy or happiness of that thing, then you won't buy it. You'll keep the money in your pocket. And those evaluations can change moment to moment. How do you know? Tell me you never bought anything and the next day regretted buying it. No? Never happened to you? They're scared to admit it. Okay, no. Right? We all do. So what does that mean? That means the moment I bought it, it was the best thing I could do right now with my money, is buy that thing because I'm going to get more happiness from having it than having the money. Then the next day you wake up and suddenly the values change. Oh my God, this thing isn't really worth that. It's worth so much less. I got to go return it, beat myself up, scream and yell at, maybe the salespeople convinced me. Did they really? Or was it your desire for instant gratification because there was a little stress? So we went stress shopping, or they give it another name. No? Shopping therapy, something like that? Retail therapy, right? Feeling a little stressed, go buy something. Of course, there's also stress eating, no? There's probably go right down the line. Anything we do automatically, out of stress, right? Why do we react? Out of stress. Okay, so our job, as we're talking about, our job is to use the power of the light in us to transform the 7 deadly sins, reactive behavior, where we transferred parts of our energy into the account of the opponent, that still, it's a holding place for us. The opponent doesn't use it, can't use it to get away with it, like it disappears. The Creator gave us 100% light. The Creator's light is infinite, so it's always there waiting for us to take it back. But to take it back means we have to transform our anger towards the person into our anger against the opponent in our head. So we fight the opponent in our head by doing what? Shine light on that person. Again, we're not acknowledging or saying what they did was right or good like that. No. But only light takes away the darkness. More than 35 years in the center, I probably heard that 1,000,000 times. Light takes away darkness. It's not a controversial saying, is it? We experience it all the time. Light takes away darkness. The issue is we're not conscious in the moment we need to be conscious of that, to realize if they're in the darkness and therefore doing and saying the things they're doing that are not good, if we're in the darkness when we do our level of things that are not good, the only thing that will dissipate the darkness and therefore the constant thought stream of consciousness of that opponent, you're limited, you're no good, take back from them, whatever it is, only light will take that away. Light will take away the darkness. Light will help us move from the channel of the opponent to the channel of our soul. That's telling us, no, shine light on them. They're a part of you. Anyone here ever touched a hot stove or picked up a hot pot you didn't think about that hurt, right? Did you immediately cut off your hand? Why didn't you cut off your hand? I mean, it was causing you pain, right? Wasn't it? You touched the hot stove, you touched the whatever it was, and your hand causing you pain. Why didn't you get rid of it? Oh, because you're all saying, what a stupid idea. Of course, I need my hand. Okay, I'll fix it, I'll heal it, or whatever, but I need my hand. Well, the same way, our job is to understand we need to be connected to the piece of our soul in that person. We don't want to connect to their negative part, the part that's under the influence of their opponent. We want to connect to their soul, because I need the light that's in their soul. I need to be connected to it for my blessings. So I want to connect to that. So you can't just cut them out of your life disconnectedly. So some of you are already hearing in your head, so is he saying you have to hang around with negative, toxic, whatever people? No. But if you don't shine light on them as you're moving away, then you're always connected with them. They could be 1,000,000 miles away, but your thought of resentment towards them is still connecting you to them. How many of us have still hurt, resentment, whatever, guilt or shame about someone who's left the world? I mean, from this world, from our general understanding here, that's about as far away as you can get, right? The other side of earth, okay, there's a way you can get there. Most people don't think there's a way to get to the other side of the veil called death. So why are you still feeling those negative things about someone who's left the world if they've left the world and now they're gone? Because it's not even about them, it's about what we're carrying. We're carrying the hurt and the resentment and the anger. We're the ones who have the little receipt, so to speak, the spiritual receipt of transferring that energy, our soul's energy, to our opponent when we had the resentment or the anger or the fear or whatever of that person. Yes, you have a receipt. That's why when you want your light back, you have to do the opposite. Here's what you gave away, here's what you got to take back. So you gave away a piece of your light with anger, you can only get it back with compassion, kindness, forgiveness, and tolerance. you gave it away by greed and a lack poverty consciousness, then the only way you can get it back is by the acts of generosity, abundant consciousness. And you go right down the line. That's the only way we can do it. And therefore, when I was inspired to call this righteous sins, because now you understand sin just means the transfer of energy. Sin in and of itself doesn't mean a bad thing, it's just transfer. So we're here to turn it around and start thinking, no, pause. And this is the only way, and we teach it basically from class 1 of Kabbalah 1. And sadly, the opponent made so many people over the years I'm in the center, well, if it's Kabbalah 1, it can't really be, that impactful. Okay, it's a little introduction, but I got to get to Kabbalah 10, then I'll be righteous. No, I'm telling you from almost 40 years of experience in the center, the most powerful teaching we have is Kabbalah 1. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't learn all the other things, but the more you learn, the work is how do you translate it into Kabbalah 1 terms. But once you're triggered, without the effort to pause before reacting, there's no way to stop giving away light to your opponent. You have to pause, because only in that pause can you be conscious in the moment of unconscious giving away your light. Think back. Look at every reactive behavior you have ever done. It's like that knee jerk. When you go to the doctor and they're testing your reaction, so they, put the legs crossed and they hit that part of your knee, so your leg jumps because it's an automatic muscle response. That's us. Anger, fear, jealousy, ego, whatever it is. Reactive. That's why we call it reactive. It's being caused in our mind by the outside. We're the effect of the outside. So our job is not to, okay, we'll leave that for another day. Our job is not to react to anything that's going on around us. Our job is to decide, pause. I am powerful. The Creator gave me power. It's not my power. I am filled with the power of the Creator. I am filled with the power of creation. So I have to decide how I'm going to use that. And so that's why it's about pausing. So pause every time your button is pushed, and like anything else. We're in the Olympics, wherever it's going on. Do you think those athletes who are going to win the gold, silver and bronze medal, did they just start training last week, or let's say a month ago? Why not? The Olympics are just started. So why didn't they wait till just, a month or two before the Olympics to actually go train? Why? They have the potential. Obviously, they have God-given abilities, we used to call it, to be gold medal winners. So why not wait until a couple months before the Olympics and then train? Because they understand the more they train and the more of the potential they bring out into manifestation, then when they're in the competition, they're more than likely going to be able to win over the opposition, whatever form that takes. So you and I cannot just say, okay, I get it, Chaim, there's an opponent, so when my button's triggered, then I'll be able to pause. No, you have to train. You have to train, because it's not just the Olympics gold medal. It is every aspect of our life is at stake. Because it's our health, our business, our abundance, our peace of mind, our protection, our love, it's ours. So every facet of my life depends on my actions, not just in that way. So when I come here to the center to teach or whatever it is, that's completely separate from when I go home with my family or whatever. No, there's no such thing as separation. You never heard somebody say they took their work home with them. And that's not even just the paperwork. What about just whatever was going on in their mind? They had an argument with somebody at work, and it wasn't resolved when they go home. Is it suddenly out of their mind? Like they set it aside when they walk in the house? Oh, lovey-dovey, everything great and well. No, they bring their stress home, which means then when the kid's doing something or the spouse or the friend or whoever's there does something, boom, right, comes the explosion. Why? Because they bring their stress from home. Or if they wake up in the morning in a bad mood and they go to work, yesterday they had a great day, today they're taking their bad mood to work. Yes or yes? Because it's me. I am the center of my world. For me, the world was created. From your point of view, for you, the world was created. Once you start thinking like that, suddenly we start to at least feel more capability and, if you will, more responsibility for what goes on in our life. And the more responsible I am, then the more I will train myself that all or more of my actions will be, like we say, love, kindness, and compassion, instead of the 7 deadly sins: gluttony, anger, what's the rest of them? Lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, envy, and pride. No, we'll transform it to I am a pure and perfect being of light. I want all my light, and therefore I have to share all my light because I want all my blessings, right? Anything comes my way, I'm going to pause and say, no, I want to be like the Creator. If you think about the light, if you turn the light off in your house, do you think the electrical lights are now angry at you, upset at you? No, because in essence, all they're experiencing is light, even in simple terms. So a person could say they hate God, whatever they want to call it, they don't believe in God, all of it, doesn't affect the light from shining on them, because the light shines 24/7, because it's infinite, lasting fulfillment. Our job is just to imitate that so we have infinite, lasting fulfillment. So if you're thinking about it, remember, start with this. How powerful are you? We are the most powerful thing in this universe because we're filled with the light of the Creator. We have to remember that's powerful. So that, and I'm filled with the light of God. So when I've transferred it over to my opponent, then I have to take it back. I want it back in my account. I want it to be with my peace, love, kindness, compassion, abundance, protection, all the good things. I want it. So then the more we will act with greater kindness, forgiveness, generosity, gratitude than we have before. Because I'm not here to say any of you are not kind and compassionate and generous, but let's just use 70%. You've manifest 70% of your potential. There's 30% more you can go. Yes? So you can be, like we affirm, greater love, kindness, and compassion. So then I want to pause when I'm triggered and act with greater generosity, gratitude than I've ever done before. And therefore, if we were thinking about it now, I am sinning righteously. I am transferring the energy of my soul back from the opponent, which is influencing 8.5 billion people with a little more anger, annoyance, jealousy, greed, whatever it is. I'm transferring it back. So it will bring light and blessing not only back to me, but to every other human being on earth, because I am insatiable. I crave for lasting fulfillment. I want all my light. I want to live in that stillness, if you will, of peace and serenity of the light of the Creator, because I want eternal love, kindness, compassion, and all the blessings of the Creator for eternity. God bless. Okay, thank you. So for those of you who are with us online, those of you here, let me just do this real quick. Okay, so this is a time, okay, just to remind you, and then we'll do Don't Go Away, because we have our meditation on the 72 names. The most fundamental project of the center is spreading the Zohar. And for those of you who are newer, yes, it looks like a book, but those of you who had experience, it just shines the infinite light of the Creator. So the more we shine the light, the faster we take away the darkness. So this is why it's only as in a unified sense. I mean, I wish I could tell you we had a few people who were giving us a few $1 billion. We'd spread enough Zohar, finish all the pain, suffering, and death. But meanwhile, we don't. Hopefully soon, but meanwhile, we don't. And this is why we always take this moment. It is a free will offering, but it is an offering. If you felt, let me just put that online for them. If you've gotten any benefit and you start to see the bigger picture, so then understand your money is just a vessel. And like everything else, it's a tool. You can use it for good. There are people out there who use their money and their power, even over the last, if you look back in history, they use power of money to disadvantage and harm people. It's the same money as you and I can give charitably, or we can give to bring light in the world. Same thing. The physical world is just a tool for us to decide how we're making use of it. And if you understand the world is created for you, my world is created for me, then every human being on earth, in essence, and please take it in this context, is a tool, is an instrument for me to use. is a messenger for me to use. Either send back to the universe the message of, heaven forbid, anger, jealousy, greed, and all of that, or a message of love, kindness, and compassion. So I want to decide to use everyone and everything in that way as a means to reveal my light. So this is why we take now a few moments just to meditate on your offering. So those of you who would like to donate, and those of you online, I put the link you can give. So just hold your offering, your gift in your hands. We want to inject it because it is simply a vessel. So we want to inject it with gratitude, with peace, and with love. Raising up our consciousness another level to understand the power we have to affect 8.5 billion people on the planet with the light of the Creator. The ability we have by shining it out there and removing more of the darkness, to also remove the darkness from our own eyes, the limitation from our own actions, and reveal the unlimited nature of the Creator within us. And so we'd like to accelerate this process so we can reduce the amount of pain and suffering that needs to wake people up, that through the spread of the Zohar, through the projects of the center, we can awaken the pure light of the Creator in every human being's heart and soul. And thereby accelerate the revelation, the manifestation of peace, love, unity, and harmony in the world. And knowing if we're sending it out to the 8.5 billion people on the planet, that it comes back to us 8.5 billion times with love and blessings and with infinite light. And together we say, Amen. So let me put up here. So for those of you here, what you see in front of you, or those of you online, most of you have been around for a while. This is one of what's known as the 72 names of God. It's one of them. So does God have 72 names? No. What it really means is 72 attributes. So in this case, Yud Lamed Hey is the attribute, the combined energy of these three nanoparticles of light, the Rav and Karen always called them, because they just channel the infinite light. And then this combination, Lamed, or Yud Lamed Hey, is sweetening judgment, transforming our darkness to light, our anger to compassion, ego to humility, jealousy to gratitude, etc. It's giving us that power, as we said, to be able to pause and then take back the light from that opponent. So just understand, yes, it's Hebrew or Aramaic letters, but those are the DNA of our soul. And in a similar way that nobody created the DNA, or nobody created photons, they came with the Big Bang, so too, these shapes came with the Big Bang. The light of the Creator manifested in 22 frequencies, which we have come to call the Aramaic alphabet. But they're actually just particles of the light of the Creator. And so since eyes are the window to the soul, as you look at them, the light that's shining in this combination is awakening the light in our souls. So just let it be that simple. Yud Lamed Hey, sweetening the judgment, giving us greater and greater strength to pause, and then send light instead of darkness. So let them just be engraved in your mind's eye. And then if I can ask you, sit comfortably in your seat, hands on your lap, feet on the floor. Just begin taking a few deep breaths, breathing in through your nose. Hold the breath for a moment, and then exhale through the mouth. allowing the infinite light of the Creator to be channeling through you, creating a more powerful circulation of that energy of the light, allowing you to relax into the infinite light in you and all around you, to feel and be influenced by this vibration of the pure light of unconditional love, infinite and eternal blessings. And so together we envision the Yud Lamed Hey. These three portals are energy particles of the light. Envision them just above your head. See them shining with the pure white light of the endless world. Feel the vibration of the ability of sweetening judgment, giving us strength to turn darkness to light, chaos to order, divisiveness to unity. By enveloping everybody in the infinite light of the Creator. And so together let's draw the Yud Lamed Hey and this power through the top of your head, that it directly begins influencing your consciousness, dissipating some of the darkness and negative limiting thoughts of that opponent in your head, and allowing the unlimited, pure light voice of your soul to be more powerful, more expressed, more experienced, and heard in your consciousness. Consciously ask, desire, crave clarity from the voice of your soul, from the light that the Creator implanted in you, for clarity and guidance in whatever confused, chaotic situation you find yourself in. Open your heart to listen, to surrender to the light, to overcome the voice of the opponent and the false limitations that has been telling you all your life. And let's let the Yud Lamed Hey travel from head to toe, inside you, awakening the light of the Creator in every cell of your being. So that the light is shining into every cell, regenerating and rejuvenating, turning the judgment of darkness and discord and dis-ease into unity, peace, to the perfect original operating system of our soul and manifest through our body. Take conscious note of the energy, the vibration that has just been raised inside you. And now, let's focus a beam of light out of our heart and soul to the heart and soul of our loved ones, family, friends. See it awakening, this ability of transformation, sweetening judgment inside them. Already envisioning more peaceful, happy, loving, kind, light-like beings. And then envision a beam of light from their heart and soul out to all humanity, the heart and soul of every person on earth. Yud Lamed Hey, reaching out and activating in their heart and soul the sweetening of judgment, the ability to pause, see other people as beings of light. Having a greater sense of the consciousness that light will take away darkness, and therefore acting with greater love, kindness, compassion, forgiveness, gratitude. And now in your mind's eye, stand back as if you're traveling out in space, that you can look down upon the entire earth and see it as a sphere of light. See it as the Creator sees it, as truly the Garden of Eden paradise, with all humanity acting with kindness, love, compassion, with true love your neighbor as yourself. Engrave that vision in your mind's eye, and the consciousness that the world is created for you, and this is the world you want to make manifest, the one that's filled with light, unity, peace, and love. Engrave this feeling, this vibration in your heart and soul, in your mind, in your consciousness, and awaken stronger desire to accelerate your process, to manifest your soul's light, and the strength to pause and transform every time you're triggered. Take one more deep breath, that this anchors in your heart, soul, and mind, and slowly exhale and open your eyes. Okay, those of you here, thank you very much for joining us. Those of you online, please, if you have any questions, you can write me. In a few minutes, you can share this with other people on your social media, on Facebook. It'll be here for a number of months. God bless. Have a great week. Thank you for joining us. If you liked what you saw, Click the subscribe button so you'll be notified of future videos as we post them. Would also love to hear your comments and questions, whether it's about this video in particular or about the wisdom of Kabbalah as we teach it in the Kabbalah Center. If you'd like to learn more about various subjects, go to our website, www.kabbalah.com. We have thousands of articles and classes on various subjects within the wisdom of Kabbalah. Share this video with other people. If you were inspired and it can change your life, let's start changing thousands and thousands of people's lives around the world also. If you'd like to contribute in support of Spiritual Sunday and the projects of the Kabbalah Center, that link is also below. I wish you an amazing day, afternoon, evening, wherever you may be out there. And may God bless us all that we awaken the light of the Creator, not only inside us to a higher level, but touching the heart and soul of every human being on earth with the light of the Creator.